Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Amateur Hour Sports for another Toronto Raptors off-season stream. And my goodness, it has been some time since we had one of these. I said another one. We're back with another one, another off-season stream. But it has been quite a while since I saw you guys in this setting here. I have been away for a little while. Finally back and finally ready to kick into gear with the content once again. Thank you for bearing with me over the course of that time. I mean, hopefully, hopefully you remember me still. Hopefully you didn't miss me too much, whatever it was. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming to hang out with me here today. I appreciate it. So yeah. What went down essentially was I was away for the last 3 weeks. 2 of those weeks I was on vacation. One of those weeks I was traveling for work, and then I think it's been 5 weeks since I streamed because I believe the stream before I was supposed to go away on vacation, I skipped the stream because I was literally like spending all day editing videos because I was trying to make sure that there was still videos coming out on the channel over the course of the 3 weeks while I was away, and it appears as though, I succeeded in doing that. Videos came out consistently. I think for half of it, it was like 3 videos a week. And then it turned into 2 videos a week because I couldn't, I had to record and edit I swear it was like 12 videos in the space of a week. So I did everything I could to get content out. So hopefully you appreciated it and hopefully you enjoyed it. And hopefully the work was worthwhile. But yes, back in the saddle, back to normal. I don't think, well, actually, I will miss, hang on. I will miss one more Tuesday stream as we head into the new season. I actually think it's in 2 weeks. So I'm here this week. I'll be here next week as well. At least I should be. I don't see why I wouldn't be. And then the week after, I'm going to be away because I have another small trip. And then that's all for the traveling for the rest of the year and for a long while after that. That's all the traveling I'm going to be doing. The only reason, it would just be like random plans that would come up that would cause me to miss more streams. I have a Blue Jays game coming up on a Tuesday in over a month from now, which I have tickets for, so I can't stream that day. Little things here and there. But as far as the extensive hiatus and hiatuses and all that, won't be happening again. But yes, today, a couple of things that I wanted to discuss. First of all, obviously, the big news around the Raptors right now is the fact that Bobby Webster has been promoted. He has gone from the general manager to now the general manager, except with more duties, being the general manager. So no promotion in name, just promotion and responsibilities. I did a full video on the channel earlier today talking about that. So earlier on Tuesday. So if you guys want more information on the Bobby Webster, want maybe some of my initial thoughts on that, please feel free, or, if you would be so kind as to check out that video there, because first video after my return. Also, what I wanted to discuss is some news that came out during the week while I was away in Las Vegas. The Raptors' schedule is out. So we're going to take a look at the Raptors' schedule and kind of see where we think the Raptors will be early on in the season. We'll have a look at maybe where they will be in the late stages of the season as well. And there should be some, if I recall from last year, there should be a tool that will actually help us help grade how difficult of a season it could be it'll be for the Raptors. But no, I don't. Maybe those tools aren't quite updated as of yet. Yeah. Well, anyways, we'll look through it and we'll manually kind of scrape through and see where the difficulties may lie, where the easy components of the schedule may lie. So, bit of a loaded episode along the way. If you are tuning in live, feel free to ask your questions. Maybe there's something over the last few weeks that you wanted to ask, but you couldn't ask because I wasn't here. Who knows? Let me know. Send it in the chat, and we can absolutely get to it as well. But yeah, we'll jump into things here. T-Dot's Finest joining us today. T-Dot's Finest 97, that is. Foil and Winner 1. Winner 1 finally streamed. Yes, been 4 weeks, I think, but back today. Thanks so much for joining up with me. Appreciate it. Foil, what's going on? And T-Dot's Finest, I hope you had a great vacation. I did. Vacation was great. I was in London, England, of course, for a wedding for a few days. Not much as far as sightseeing is concerned. Only like half a day of sightseeing. I've been to London a few times before, so I wasn't really that bothered. I was with my fiance who hadn't been. So we did end up going to see Big Ben while we were there, which was good. Went to a wedding, which was good. And then me and my fiance, we were with some family. We split up from the family and went to Paris for a few days. That was fantastic. I've never been to Paris. I really enjoyed all the sights, all the things that we were able to do. I didn't think the food was overly fantastic. Now, granted, I was in Paris. I was in touristy areas. I wasn't going to very expensive places. I wasn't wowed by the food in Paris. And much of the reason why I enjoy traveling is experiencing, the food. I like food a lot, as you probably know, and I do enjoy experiencing the food. It wasn't, it was fine in Paris, but it wasn't anything spectacular. After a few days in Paris, I went to Italy, joined back up with my family. I was with my mom, my dad, my sister, and my sister's boyfriend. We had an Airbnb, obviously with my fiance as well. And we are in the south of Italy. We're in Puglia, in a city called Bari, big city in the south. And that was fantastic. I've been there once before. It's my second time there. The food there is sensational. Like, even just like the fast food, like €2 for a panzerotti, and it's just fantastic. So much great food there. I love it in Italy. Shall be going back there in the future. But overall, great trip. Got back from that trip on a Friday, and then the Monday after that, I flew out to Las Vegas. So I was in Las Vegas for a work trip. There was, if anybody doesn't know, I work in sports betting media. There was a sports betting conference that took place in Las Vegas, as it does every year. This was my first time attending said conference, along with my company. That was great. A lot of work, but still a good amount of time to, enjoy Las Vegas and how goddamn expensive it is in Las Vegas. Like, Jesus. Like, you think Toronto is expensive, and it is. I live in Toronto. It is expensive. But as expensive as Toronto is, it's not just Las Vegas. It's all big cities where their currency and their dollar, the euro, the pound, it's much stronger than the Canadian dollar. So even in the US, the American dollar, what you would pay for like a meal in Canadian dollars, it is the same number figure to buy a meal typically, like definitely in Las Vegas. Like if I were to go to, because I went to a deli a lot in Las Vegas. If I were to go to a deli in Toronto and get a meal, I could probably go to a deli and get it for less than 20 Canadian dollars. Now this place in Las Vegas, I mean, it was like 20 to 25 US dollars to get that meal. And then in London, it's like the same amount, but in pounds. So it's like 20 pounds to get a meal, which would equate to 32 Canadian dollars. Same can be said on occasions for France. It was expensive. Now, Bari in Italy, since it's not like a major tourist city like Rome is, it was much cheaper and much more budget friendly. But God, Vegas in particular, oh my goodness. Vegas absolutely gouges you for money. And the weird thing about Las Vegas and how expensive it's got, everybody's realized it, and everybody has a recognition that Vegas is dying. Vegas tourism is down, absolutely down, indisputably down. I mean, I was there. Vegas was relatively dead compared to the last time I was there. Tourism is down. You see reports about it all the time. And I think the big reason is like Vegas used to be cheap to go to Vegas. It used to be cheap to get a hotel, used to be cheap to eat, cheap to drink. They wanted just to get you in the casino, because what was expensive is the gambling that people do. Like the casino is the cash cow. They're making huge money. Like the margins on the casino games are humongous on some of them. That is the cash cow. So I don't understand why they've abandoned that Vegas. They're trying to turn all these like normal meal spots into like high expense, like these highly expensive dining places. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, you are going to make your money on the slot machines, on the casino games, on the sports betting. You are going to make your money on that. All you got to do is keep people in the fucking building with cheap food and cheap drinks. But now it's like no matter what, like, my God, I was in a casino and it's like $7, $7 for a fucking bottle of Pepsi. Like, it's like a normal bottle. Like, what are they? 750 milliliters, maybe less. Bottle of Pepsi. Let me see. What, like, it's 591 milliliters. Okay, 591 milliliters. $7. Like, that's 10 Canadian dollars for a fucking Pepsi. And I didn't. Believe me, I bought one Pepsi and that was it. Cause I was like, holy, water will be fine from me from the tap from now on in this trip. But I just went up to. I was like, I wanted a Pepsi. I got a Pepsi Max. $7. I'm like, okay. Well, I want this Pepsi, so I'm gonna drink it. But I'm not gonna buy another one. Anyways, I don't know. Vegas, it's dying. Hopefully, there's a correction in the other direction where it's like, hey, all we need to do is get people here. We're gonna make our money. You know, like movies. Isn't it a thing that movie theaters take a small, well, maybe not anymore because tickets are bloody expensive there now. I think it was like they don't have incredible margins on the actual movie tickets, but they have insane margins on the food and the drink, like the popcorn and drinks. That is how they make their money, right? The tickets to the movie get you in the door to make them a lot of money off the snacks and drinks. Now, Vegas needs to go back to, listen, if we get people in the casino, they see all the slot machines, all the lights, everything, they're going to gamble, they're going to lose money. All we got to do is get them here to do that. How are we going to get them here? Cheaper hotel rooms, cheaper food, cheaper drinks. That'll get people here, and it will keep people here. That is how it's going to be. I mean, I enjoyed Vegas, but again, it's just... I didn't even do any betting there. I did a little bit of sports betting, which I'm an avid sports bettor regardless. So that was fine. I didn't play any casino games or anything because after 2 weeks in Europe, I was hurting for cash. I didn't really want to gamble it away at the blackjack table, but it was expensive. So be ready to pay up if you do make a trip to Vegas. But if you do, it's a good time. You will go for 3 nights. 4 nights was one too many. Go for 3 nights and have a good time. Head over to Niagara Falls. I haven't been to Niagara Falls and I can't remember the last time I went to Niagara Falls. It's probably been like over 2 decades. Just never seemed desirable for me to go and visit. And the stories I hear about about Niagara Falls, that it's also just price gouging people, and it's so busy. I don't know. Toronto's expensive enough for me, but it's a lot of fun stuff to do in Toronto. I don't know. I don't know. If I feel like I'm traveling, I'd rather go. If I'm traveling within Ontario, I'd rather go like north and like get it like a cottage rather than staying in, like rent a cottage rather than renting a hotel in Niagara Falls. That's probably what I'd rather do if I'm staying with Ontario, but I'd probably rather just go somewhere else. Anyways, enough about me. Let's get into the basketball. And the big news today, I mean, we saw. Zach Craig has a question, so let's delay. Thoughts on Isak. So I saw he put out a statement today. I actually didn't read it yet. I was doing something and I saw there was a statement. So I'm going to read that statement live on the spot. If anybody doesn't know, Alexander Isak, striker for Newcastle, wants to no longer play for Newcastle, wants to go to a different team, and he's trying to force him to move out. It hasn't happened, so he put out a statement in I guess, sort of desperation to try and get a move somewhere else. Okay, all right, here we go. Here are the statements and the rebuttal from the club itself, Newcastle United. All right, let's have a read, shall we? Breaking. Here's a statement. When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship can't continue. I'm proud to be recognized by my fellow professional who placed the PFA Premier League team this season for the last season. He was fantastic last season. Fantastic striker. First and foremost, I want to thank my teammates, everyone in Newcastle who supported me along the way. I'm not at the ceremony tonight. With everything going on, I didn't feel right to be there. Kind of smart, but also a bit of a shame that he couldn't attend. But Perhaps some of it was brought on himself. Anyways, I've kept quiet for a long time while others have spoken. That silence has allowed people to push their own versions of events, even though they know it doesn't reflect what was really said and agree behind closed doors. Reality is that promises were made, and the club has known my position for a long time. To now act as if these issues are only emerging is misleading. When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship can't continue. That's where things are for me right now, and why change is the best thing for everyone, not just myself. So he wants to move. He's claiming he communicated with the club at the start of the transfer window. I want to go. Let me go. I don't want to be here anymore. And the club went, no. I mean, as far as I know, the club went, no. You're not going anywhere. You are too good. We are keeping you. So I don't know if there were promises in terms of, like, if they matched a certain amount of money, they'll let him go. Whatever it is, he feels as though promises were broken. Now, Newcastle, the club, responded in a statement saying they're disappointed to have been alerted to a social media post by Alexander Isak this evening from Fabrizio Romano, who reported both of these. We are clear in response that Alex remains under contract and that no commitments ever been made by a club official that Alex can leave Newcastle this summer. So they're claiming there was no promise that existed there, which I haven't seen anything that was suggested otherwise, to be honest. We want to keep our best players, but we also understand players have their own wish and we listen to views. I've explained to Alex as representatives, we always take into consideration the best interests of the club, the team, and our supporters in all decisions, and we have been clear in that the conditions of a sale this summer have not transpired. So they want like a certain amount of money. We do not foresee those conditions being met. They want, I think, 150 million pounds or whatever, and clubs aren't willing to pay that right now. This proud football club with proud tradition, we strive to retain our family feel. Alex remains part of our family and will be welcomed back when he's ready to rejoin his teammates. So they want him back, and they're saying they're not selling him. He's like, I'm not playing here anymore. It is over. It is over. It is over, ladies and gentlemen. My thoughts are, Isak is I mean, player power is a thing. It gets people moves. I mean, for Isak, I feel like, you got to kind of keep this a little bit more concealed, respectful, unless he really wants out. I'd say, show up to training, do your thing, let all that stuff work in about. Look at Eberechi Eze. Kind of wants out. Maybe there's something going on with Tottenham, but you know what he's doing? He's out training. He's out playing in the Community Shield final, helping Palace win. He's out in the first game of the Premier League season for Palace, scoring a disallowed goal. But he played the first game of the season, and now all this stuff is coming out about him. But he's still out there playing. Like, I think this was maybe the wrong approach by Isak, but I guess he really, really wanted to move elsewhere. And, I guess when it's the Premier League champions that come knocking, you want to do that. But also, like, you have to respect, like, your club not wanting to sell you to another English Premier League team. And if they have a certain figure that needs to be met, and it's not being met, like, that's it. I don't know. We need more information if we to give the full scope. I don't love Isak's approach to it, though. That's how I feel. Good question, though. Nana Yada, the legend of the space. Welcome back. Trip went smoothly. Yes, both trips, the vacation plus the work trip, everything went smoothly. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. Nothing went wrong. When, like, so much has the possibility of going wrong, nothing went wrong. I made all my flights. No cancellations. Nothing rescheduled. Air Canada went on strike, but when they went on strike, I already had a flight booked with Porter Airlines, so it didn't affect me in any way whatsoever. So, yeah, I guess I have to be more grateful for that. Nothing went wrong. Nothing got stolen. Yeah, it was all good. I had a good time. Lots of great times. Winner one says Raptors top 6 in the East next year. We'll kind of get there, but I'm not so sure about that. How about them Jays, though? They're already up 3-0. Top of the first, already up 3-0 here. Daniel Berry Sports Heights joining us. What's going on? Happy Tuesday to you as well. McLaren said, but he's not a big player to sit out. Well, I mean, he is. He's one of the best strikers in the world. He's in the Premier League team of the season last year. I think when you're getting bids in the range of $120 to $150 million, you're a big player. Like, that's a lot of fucking money. Oh, boy. All right, let's jump into it, guys. We know The big news today was Bobby Webster getting the promotion. He's gone from general manager to general manager, except he has more responsibilities with the title now. The exact same title that is. Now, I did a full video talking about it on the main channel, Amateur Sports, which you can go check out, and I would highly advise you to do so. But what I wanted to kind of focus on with the stream content that we're doing here, I wanted to focus a little bit more on one of the pieces from that video, which was how rival executives are perceiving the Toronto Raptors. Now, we've kind of known for a while the rumblings coming from other organizations, other teams, is that they are not seeing eye to eye with the Raptors in terms of the strategy here, the direction here. They don't understand what the Raptors are doing, pretty much. And you kind of get that sentiment from other fan bases as well, where it's like, hey, it's a team that's not good enough to make the playoffs, who tanked the last 2 years, who traded for Brandon Ingram, who has given out these big contracts, like a max contract to Scotty Barnes, a $175 million contract to Emmanuel quickly over 5 years, $35 million a year. Brandon Ingram for $40 million this season. You're going to see, like, a team that didn't make the playoffs and tanked the last 2 years has spent all this money, made this trade, and are still not a shoo-in to make the playoffs. It's like, what is the strategy going? And from that perspective, I mean, yeah, the way I laid it out there, I don't think I was unfair in anything that I just said there. And it's not a shoo-in to make the playoffs. The Raptors are not a shoo-in to make the playoffs. This is not a team that I anticipate being a top 6 team. Now, top 8, that's attainable. Play-in tournament appearance and play-in tournament success, I think, is a very distinct possibility for the Raptors. But I find a top 6 seed, even in this depleted Eastern Conference, a pretty tall task, and that's what other rival executives are saying as well. We have one from DH Sports, written by Adam Lascaris here. Hopefully I said that right, Adam. Talking about the criticism that is going towards the Toronto Raptors and all the stuff that I've laid out to you already in terms of where other teams are maybe seeing some issue with the team. And this kind of arose from an article, or not an article, but just from the interviews that took place for the vacant team president job for the Toronto Raptors. This article is written by Josh Lewinberg, TSN Raptors reporter, which talked about Bobby Webster getting the job, but it also talked about some of the people who were in the interview process who weren't quite understanding what was going on with the Raptors. And I think the biggest reason why Bobby Webster was promoted and Masai Ujiri was fired is money. Masai Ujiri fired for budget reasons. If they didn't like Masai Ujiri and what he was doing, they would have changed the front office, not promoted his right-hand man, Bobby Webster, to that position. They're clearly fine with what the team is doing. It seems like it's more financial. Also, Bobby Webster getting a promotion is cheaper than still paying Bobby Webster and now paying a team president. So seems like budget is the biggest thing. But at least part of it has to be, again, rival executives and other teams and the perception of where the Toronto Raptors are going. And it didn't seem like the Raptors were intent on firing Bobby Webster. And it seems like if they wanted to hire somebody else, not only would it have been expensive, but that person likely coming in wouldn't be on the same page as Bobby Webster as to what the Raptors were doing. So budget-wise, couldn't really afford it, according to MLSE. And direction-wise, there would have been some conflicting opinions at the top between the general manager, Bobby Webster, and whoever would have come in potentially as team president. But here's what Josh Lewinberg wrote in his article. Some of the external candidates that were interviewed for the president position pushed back on recent roster decisions made by Masai Ujiri in his front office. One went as far as to calling the trade to acquire Brandon Ingram in February a desperate Hail Mary. They questioned the team's post-championship leadership and internal development and pointed out its salary crunch, going into the new season with the league's 8th highest payroll despite winning 55 games over the last 2 years and having the 21st highest projected win total for the 25-26 campaign. So, yeah, the Raptors' win total before I left for vacation 4 weeks ago, it was 36.5. Now it's been 4 weeks, therefore it is very possibly changed, and I will look at it right now. But as I'm pulling it up, just on the surface, this is the league's 8th most expensive team. Barnes' max contract is now beginning. Brandon Ingram's near max contract is now kicking in. We're only in year 2 of 5 of Emmanuel Quickley's very large contract. Jakob Poeltl has a couple more years on one of the cheaper contracts, but then his contract becomes like relatively sizable as well. So, I can understand where some of the hesitancy is from for other executives looking at the Raptors. Let me see. I'm trying to pull up Raptors. So there's no exact. I mean, on the sportsbook I'm playing, there's no exact number here, but we're now probably getting into like the 38 win range of a projection, and this opened up at 34. So 38 wins or so is where the Raptors are expected, and I kind of have to agree that it's like likely high 30s for the Raptors this season if they do care about. I think if there was a confidence that the Raptors would be trying to win every game throughout the season, there wasn't the possibility of a tank. This number could probably get to 40. But, again, okay, regardless, expensive team projected to win less than 40 games. And in, like, a good year, like, if it goes well this year, it's probably a team that wins just over 40 games and is, like, hovering right around 500, which that probably won't quite cut it in getting into the top 6 in the Eastern Conference. Like, let's look at the NBA standings from last season. Like, there was some pretty solid teams that were in the top 6, and I don't believe like close to 500 would have cut it. Yeah, the Pistons were 44-38. Orlando was 41-41. That was your 7th seed. Orlando was the 500 team, and that was your play-in seed. So I think in a good year, that's where the Raptors end up. I think top 8 is certainly possible and plausible for the Raptors to accomplish this season. But, as much as I understand where the Raptors are doing, I can also understand the other perspective of these other teams thinking like, what the hell is going on with this team? Like, what are they doing? For me, it's like, okay, I look at the at the time, the OG Anunoby trade was probably good. In hindsight, you look at that and think, you might convince me to say, do the Raptors want to have that one back? Judging by the lack of interest in RJ Barrett in the trade market, there's not a lot of value there. Emmanuel Quickley is on a big contract, which it was probably a slight overpay. He's just got to start playing up to that contract, and maybe it looks better down the line. But I said at the time, it's probably slight overpay. It's more than I wanted to pay him and more than I thought he would get. As for Scotty Barnes, I don't think you had any choice. You had to give him a max contract. That doesn't seem to be the sticking point, really. Like, I think people understand that. Like, you had to give Barnes a max contract. He was coming off of an all-star season on a rookie contract. You had to give him a max contract. The Ingram one as well. Like, as far as the trade, the Raptors really didn't give up much to get Ingram. So the trade made sense. It was like, we don't really love the position the team is in, but this is a really good player who we can get for really not giving away anything. It was like a Pacers 2026 pick and expiring salary. Like, Hushel said essentially got it for free. I don't think we can quite say for free. It was a first-round pick that went out, but, like, it was close. And honestly, we didn't get off contract because they were expiring contracts, Olynyk and Brown. But like it was salary dump and a first. That probably isn't a super valuable first-round pick. The Raptors didn't give him much. Salary-wise, I just don't really get how Brandon Ingram is perceived to be, like, horribly overpaid. I mean, I guess he is, because even fucking Brandon Ingram's agents are saying he's overpaid, which is just, like, utterly ridiculous that his agency has come out and said, he probably wouldn't have got that much money anywhere else. I don't think $40 million was outrageous for Brandon Ingram, and I do agree that there is a certain tax you have to pay as the Raptors and the Canadian team to get these guys. Like if we want them to play here rather than someone else, we probably have to overpay a little bit compared to others. I didn't feel like the Ingram signing was an overpay, but I will hold my hands up and say I'm wrong because his freaking agents are saying he's overpaid, essentially paraphrasing what they said. But that's basically what they said. So, I mean, I understand all the perspectives here. I'm of the opinion that I think that this is a pivotal year where, like, yeah, we have invested a lot of resources and finances and time into this team. So it is time to start, figuring it out. Like, we can't have another year of, like, maybe next year we'll figure it out. Like, there has to be some success this year. Or else, I'm not saying, like, Webster, I don't think should go. I think he should have time to build his team his way, and maybe he has different viewpoints than Masai Ujiri. I think that's entirely possible. But I think it is important to say, like, if this team misses the playoffs, there should be some drastic on-court changes. Like, you can't just keep running it back at that point. If it misses the playoffs again being this expensive, it's time to make some changes, time to overhaul a little bit, and really retinker around players like Scotty Barnes. That's probably what it's just going to have to be for this Raptors team. Absolutely. T-Dot's fine as 97, so I can see 42 to 43 wins if we buy at the trade deadline and improve the team. Certainly possible. If they're a buying team, what does buying really look like? Like, how do we buy? Like, we could use draft picks for sure and make a buying trade in that way. But the salary, it's complicated to be a buying team. To be a buying team, the Raptors have to trade RJ Barrett probably and Emmanuel quickly alongside draft picks. That feels like a difficult trade to execute mid-season, especially for Quickly and Barrett, who are not expiring contracts. Like, most of those buying trades are sort of these salary dump sort of trades where you're giving away expiring salary and picks to take on a good player. That team opens up cap space in the season. The Raptors don't have the opportunity to do so. So, yes, they can be a buying team. I can kind of see that. But also, like, I don't really see a viable pathway to being that sort of buying team, which, kind of adds to the complications with more wins in between Indy, us, and Miami. Indy did kind of take a step back, and no Tyrese Halliburton for maybe the entire season. Miami, that's a tough one. I might have to lean in favor of the Raptors between Indiana, Miami, and Toronto. I might have to lean towards the Raptors there. That's not super saying much, though. I think that's more an indictment against Indy and Miami. But complicated spot, essentially, for the Raptors to be in. So I can understand why executives are viewing the team this way and maybe why people in the interview process perhaps thought that it wasn't a super desirable position. Kind of tough to say, but that's just probably what it was. There were probably people who didn't think, like, man, I don't think I'm going to look good if I take this job, essentially. Like, that's a tough job to come out of looking good. Yeah, Brown makes like $60 million. Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown makes, yeah. I guess the difference is Jaylen Brown and the Celtics won a chip. So, like, if you win a championship, you don't really have to apologize. So Jaylen Brown's making $53 million this year. It's going to go up to 64. It's going to $65 million. Now, yeah, I agree. Jaylen Brown is a good player, but he is not this good. He is not good enough to make that amount of money. But because it's Boston and they're successful and they won a championship, nobody gives a shit. Like, I also agree. Like, I think you could comfortably make a case Brandon Ingram's a better player than Jaylen Brown. He's at least, I think, in the same ballpark if he's not as good as he is. And 38 then $40 million. Like, I just don't think that's a ridiculous contract. Jaylen Brown is also older than Brandon Ingram. Like, Jaylen Brown is going to be making $65 million when he's 30 in his age 32 season. I just don't think it's that ridiculous of a contract. And, like, nobody looks at the Jaylen Brown contract and bats an eye. So I don't think that's a lot. But again, his agents thought it was a lot. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're wrong. It's tough to say, right? I guess the injuries kind of make it tougher. How healthy is Brandon Ingram going to be? but he's had a lot of rest. Like I think if the Raptors were a playoff team last year, he would have come back last season. Worst sprained ankle in history of the world. I don't know. I think he'll be nice and refreshed and ready to go for the upcoming season. And a lot of the success of the team hinges on how he fits with all the other talented pieces on the team. Because there is talent. It's never been in question there's talent here. It's how the talent fits together. And a bit of a tall task, truthfully, for Darko Rajakovic to figure out. And I mean, everyone's got their opinions on Darko. I don't have a huge amount of confidence that he's the guy that's going to get the most out of this group. But I still think there's enough from him and the talent on the team to make this top 8 seed. Top 6, I think, is a little bit too far. But I would love to be proven wrong. I would love the Raptors to be a top 6 seed. I mean, I'd love to have some of these executives. I mean, proving wrong is just such like a strong term. Like, I get that the Raptors were a top 6 seed and everything clicked and Ingram was great. You'd be technically proving these executives wrong. But also, like, it's completely reasonable for rival executives to feel this way about the Raptors. Like, it's very conceivable that they would come up with this opinion on the Raptors, as many other people are doing. So I don't think it would be a case of proving them wrong. I think it'd be more so proving the Raptors right in their investment here. Or maybe it's not even proving them right. Maybe it's just a gamble paying off for the Raptors. Maybe that's the best way to describe it. Like if, I don't know. First example that popped into my head, like a baseball player at the plate gets a pitch, and I get asked, what's going to be the outcome of this pitch? Do you think he's going to hit a home run? He's probably not going to hit a home run. It's very unlikely he's going to hit a home run. But if he hits a home run, it's not like I was proven wrong. It was just, okay, we had the more unlikely circumstance happen in that situation. Does that make sense? I don't think the Raptors are proving anybody wrong. I think it's just there's a gamble on the talent. Is it going to click? Let's find out. Because it's not ridiculous to say that I'm not sure this is going to work. A team that is the eighth most expensive team in the league has 55 wins in the last 2 seasons combined. I'm not sure. That's not. I don't know. We're not proving them wrong again. All right, let's talk about like what we expect to see from the Raptors, because the big problem I think with the Raptors last season, I mean, there were a lot of big problems, but one of the things that didn't help the team garner on-court success, which eventually led to the tank, is the fact that the Raptors were given a pretty bad hand to start the season. The Raptors' first half of the season was the most difficult schedule in the NBA. I believe that to be true. I don't have exact verification of that. At the very least, it was one of the most difficult schedules to start the season, proven by how easy their schedule was to finish the season. It was very front-loaded of a schedule for the Raptors, which facilitated the Raptors being bad in the first half of this season, which facilitated the decision-making in regards to tanking at the trade deadline because the Raptors were so far behind the pace. Now, I don't think the Raptors anticipated how easy it was going to be the rest of the way because they were playing so many fellow tanking teams at the end of the season. The Raptors had too much talent that they won a bunch of games and won 30 games and maybe didn't give themselves the as good of a draft pick as they could have done. I think under the circumstances, they kind of did what they could because they were just playing so many bad teams. But the point is, the Raptors were put in a position where tanking became the most viable strategy for the team last season because of how difficult their schedule was to start the season. So now let's look at this season. How difficult of a schedule is it going to be for the Raptors this season, especially in like this depleted Eastern Conference where the East isn't super strong? Well, for starters, let's look at the strength of schedule to start the season, where we can anticipate the Raptors being at the start of the season. So, first 10 games at Atlanta, Milwaukee, at Dallas, at San Antonio, Houston, at Cleveland, Memphis, Milwaukee, at Atlanta, at Philadelphia. How many wins? Now, I put in the chat here. Let me know in the chat here. How many wins do we anticipate the Raptors getting in this 10-game stretch to start the season? The Raptors have been quite good at as in the opener in a lot of the recent seasons, I feel like, but not easy. Like traveling to Atlanta, who I think have had just like a sensational offseason. I think they're going to be a better team than the Raptors this season. Milwaukee may have regressed a bit, but they still have Giannis. They've signed Miles Turner. There's still talent on that team. At home, that's like not an easy game playing against Giannis. Like we haven't really found a solution for him the last couple of years with Darko. At Dallas, tough place to travel to. They're missing Kyrie Irving, but they also have Cooper Flag now. I think that might be a winnable game for the Raptors, though. At San Antonio, like Wemby could be back. They just drafted Dylan Harper. They have De'Aaron Fox. Like that's a good team. That's not an easy game. Houston is a great team this season. Cleveland will likely be a great team again this season. Memphis will be improved. Milwaukee again. Atlanta again. And Philadelphia will be much improved. Like, I don't see any, like, I'm not looking at any games as, like, overly winnable in this stretch to start the season. And you know, it psychologically, like, it's a long season. There's 72 games other than these 10. Psychologically, it means a lot to get off to a good start and get out the gates hot. So, like, let me try and, like, how many wins can we, like, kind of expect the Raptors to get in this stretch? Like, at Atlanta, let's give the Raptors, like, a third of a win. Milwaukee at home, we'll give them, like, maybe 2/3 of a win. So, like, one there. Maybe 3/4 of a win here. Let's say a quarter. So let's say like they split these 5. So that's 2. So these 4. So 2 wins in the first 5. Maybe a fraction more. Maybe we'll even out somewhere. 2 tough games. I think they lose. Maybe they split these 2, 3. Maybe they split. Like I think 4 wins is certainly on the cards here, which isn't disastrous, but like I can't really see them going on like a big run to start the season. I think is what I'm trying to say here. I don't see like a 6-4, 7-3 start. I see more of like a 4-6 start, but I also see this like if things don't click out the gate, this could be an ugly start to the season. It's not an easy start to the season by any stretch of the imagination for the Raptors. Could easily be 3-7. Could definitely wind up to an 8, I think. But I don't realistically see this going very far in the other direction of like 7-3, 8-2. I just personally don't see that. Now, also within the Raptors schedule, traveling typically isn't quite as bad for the Raptors, but let's take a look at the back-to-back schedule. Now, this is where it's been a little bit more favorable for the Raptors. This one was posted by Owen Phillips here, at Owen LHJ Phillips, who looked at the team back-to-backs versus opponent back-to-backs. Raptors have 15 back-to-backs this season, but will play teams 18 times who are on back-to-backs in their schedule. That gives them a plus-minus in the back-to-back rankings of +3, which is 3rd highest in the entire NBA. So a little bit of help in that regard there. 15 back-to-backs is well, actually, having 15 back-to-backs is on the higher end of the NBA, but the Raptors have the largest amount of opponent back-to-backs against them in 18. So that's where it kind of helps out the Raptors a little bit. So we have a fraction more than most teams, but we have a good amount more playing against us, which you know always is a little bit helpful and beneficial to the Raptors to have that additional rest. Now, as for the entire season, we can kind of comb through it here. I'm a little bit more interested in. Oh, is it just going to cut off at January? All right. Well, let's go to NBA's website. I'm a little bit more interested in seeing what the schedule is going to look like around the trade deadline and at the end of the season. I'm kind of doing this on the spot as well here. So in and around the trade deadline, like, could they make a run before the deadline and see where they're at? Like, okay. OKC, New York, Orlando, easy games, Jazz, and tough game here. Easier game, easy, kind of tough game there. It's not that hard, not super hard of a schedule in and around the trade deadline. which I suppose is good. But like, how are we going to end the season here? Let's look. We're making a push for the playoffs. Last 6 games here. Yeah, let's go like even for let's go like last 10 games. Easy, a little tough, 50-50-ish, maybe. Like, where is this game? 8 p.m. at home against, winnable. Memphis could be tough. Boston would be winnable. To Miami could be winnable. Knicks, hopefully they're resting players. Brooklyn will be terrible. Honestly, like, end of the season run is pretty kind to the Raptors, which could mean that there's a bit of a more stacked schedule somewhere earlier on, and I think the first 10 games are a little bit difficult, but like the last 10 games aren't unkind to the Raptors. So I kind of prefer, I just think it's beneficial to be easier schedule out the gate, build up the record, because late stage of the season is more variables like tanking, like teams resting guys. Also, if you win more games earlier, the morale is better and the vibes are better, and that absolutely is big in helping your team. So I think all of these things are important about the schedule. I think mostly it's not. I think in terms of how good of a schedule it is for the Raptors, it feels like on the surface to me, and I'm sure you could model this out and come up with an actual good answer. It feels like we're a decent amount above neutral in terms of positivity towards our schedule. Feels like we're in a position to thrive here, but everyone's got similar parameters. Everyone's gonna have to eat shit at some points, and they have some fortunate stuff at some points. Still, I think it's still a little bit of an uphill battle to make the playoffs. I think it's most realistic a play-in tournament berth for the Raptors, but it does help a little bit to have this easier chunk, in my opinion at least, to end the season. Ryan says 47-35, if no injuries. If every single player is healthy for every single game, even then I'm not sure about that. More plausible, but like, I think we kind of there's going to be injuries. I think we kind of know just who, when, and how long, type thing. T-Five says 43-39. What is my prediction? I will give them subject to change. On the spot, I want to say 42-40 or 41-41. Kind of want to lean 42-40 because I don't think they'll tank this year, and I think they'll keep on trying to win. I think they'll have some easier games in this year. I'll go 42 wins. I'll go 42, which will have them kind of in the hunt for top 6 seed, but I don't think we'll give it to them. So I think they'll be the 7 seed. I think they'll have the home play-in game. I think they'll have a double chance at home to make the playoffs. Yeah, that's how I'll go. But there's a lot of once again, the issue here is like what's the median outcome for the Raptors? What's like the average outcome for the Raptors? Because I don't think what is a realistic ceiling? It's probably like 45 wins. That's like absolute ceiling, I think. I cannot see this clicking for like a 46, 47 win season. I could absolutely see this blowing up and tanking and winning like 25 to 30 games though. Like it can go so far in the opposite direction. I can't see it going so far in a positive direction. Like the median outcome of the season is probably still like 36 wins. I think they're better than that, but I just think it can go so far in the bad direction where it can't go to those extents positively. that like 42% would probably be what would be like the percentiles? Like there's probably like less than a quarter of the time they'll win 43 plus games. Like probably also like a quarter of the time, same probability they'll win like even more, like less than 30, 32 maybe. Yeah, I think like the average will be the average amount of wins the Raptors will get is like 30, 35, 36. I think there'll be so many, like if we simulated this season like a million times, I think there'd be so many just like really bad seasons that pull the average down. You know what I mean? Because they'll tank. And they can choose to be bad. They can't choose to be like this amazing 4th seed, 3rd seed. Like I think it's possible, but you know, anything is possible. The Raptors could go 82-0. Anything is possible, but it's gonna be a tough season. And again, they're fighting an uphill battle. I think that's the best way to describe it. 6th seed would be fantastic. 6th seed would be a winning season. We should discuss throwing a parade. We shouldn't throw a parade, but we should like think about like do we throw a parade? Don't throw a parade, but it would be exciting. It'd be very exciting to be a 6th seed and for the Raptors to have that sort of success. It would give a big vote of confidence for what the team can do going forward and building around Ingram, building around Barnes. It would mean something had gone right, but I'm not sure. I'm a little nervous about it. A little nervous about this whole ordeal. With our conference, the way it is, I can't see us being under 500. I can certainly see it. It's a depleted East, but there's like a lot of teams better than the Raptors still. Like let's see how many teams in the East have a better win projection according to sportsbooks than the Raptors. Just out of curiosity, because these numbers aren't the be all end all. But it's very smart people who are shaping the lines to be what they are. So let's see. Okay. So I FanDuel open just because. Could be any sports. But all right, let's count. So let's see where the Raptors are at. I think the Raptors are like 38.5, 37.5. Okay, 37.5, shaded towards the over. So we're trending around 38 wins projection for the Raptors. Let's count how many teams in the East have higher than 38 or 37.5 juice towards the over. So Atlanta, 1. Boston, even Boston have a few more. So Boston, 2. Surely not Brooklyn. Yeah. Surely not Charlotte. Okay. Surely not Chicago. Okay. Cleveland, that'll be 3. 55. Wow. Cleveland. Detroit will be 4. Let's see. Indiana, I'm curious. So Indiana's right around the Raptors, so not quite as high. So we can't give Indiana that spot. Maybe not Miami. So Miami will give us a 5, but I think I'll give them 4.5, and we'll find another half somewhere else. Milwaukee's still favorites, still expect to win 40 plus games, so 6. Knicks will be 7, comfortably. Orlando will be 8, I think, comfortably. Philadelphia could easily be 9. So it's 9 teams with a higher projection than the Raptors. And I think that's it. 9. So it's not as if the Raptors are like one of the 6 best teams. They are one of the 10 best teams, and you can make a case they're one of the 8 best teams. I think I would try and construct that case. I think realistically they're the 9th best team in the East, with opportunity to move up, and other teams, could crumble and move down. Right? But based on these numbers here, the Raptors have invested a lot of time and money. The Raptors are doing this in a year with a depleted Eastern Conference and are still projected to be, the projection is, the 10th best team in the East, arguably the 9th. So Listen, I'm with you. I think they'll be a little bit better than that, a little bit better than the projection shows. But like, you would have hoped it'd be a little bit more confident. It would be a little bit more confident in that. So we'll just have to wait and see. Again, we will follow along all the games. I'll be watching along, hopefully 70 plus of the games. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. We'll see. That's all we can do. Just watch the games, enjoy the games. I'll be covering it right here on the channel. Appreciate everybody hanging out with me today. Thank you for not forgetting about me while I was gone last week on a work trip. The 2 weeks before that on vacation. The week before that, getting ready with videos for the vacation so that there were videos out. The last 3 weeks of videos all recorded in like a week's time before I went away. So hopefully the effort is well received, and hopefully you enjoy the content. Hopefully you appreciate the work I'm putting in, because it is a lot of work, but I enjoy doing it. I'm happy to have this amazing community. Give some extra support to the community by checking out the link that is pinned at the top of the chat, which is the merch link. The merch link is also in the description. Get yourself some amateur sports merch ahead of the new season. Everyone who has the merch loves the merch and is happy they got some. I think you would be very much happy as well, and I would be happy as well if you did that. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Another video will be out on Thursday. Amateur Answers is back on Saturday. I'll see you next week on Tuesday for another off-season stream. Thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in.